What do you want to eat? Hey everybody, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. Today we are going to try to answer the age-old question, what's for dinner? Now, growing up in Houston, Texas, they had something called the Taste of Houston every year. And when I moved to the Nashville area in 2014, I was really excited to find the Taste of Wilson County. Unlike the Taste of Houston, which was a bunch of independently owned, mostly ethnic restaurants, really good stuff, the Taste of Wilson County, when I picked up the brochure, my excitement quickly turned to dread when I saw presenters such as Cracker Barrel, Chili's, Chick-fil-A, Wendy's. I mean, I was very disheartened to learn that Wilson County tastes like a crappy chain restaurant. Now, Wilson County is about 30 minutes outside of downtown Nashville, so it might have been a little bit like the location, and it's a little further out. I did find a few things there. There was Saki, which is a Japanese fusion, and Peking, which was a Chinese restaurant. Neither one of them had anything for decor, so very little imagination. The food was okay, it wasn't great. Then I found Blue Moon Barbecue, which is now New Moon Barbecue. I haven't eaten there since it's changed owners or names. I don't know if it's the same owner or not, or just a different name. But again, that was something that they didn't really plan well. Like most barbecue places, they really only prepare a certain amount of food. And once they're out, they're out. Well, Blue Moon always ran out of meat before dinner. And if you got there and they still had meat, it was dried out because they'd slice it, they wouldn't wrap it. All the juices just kind of go out into the tins that they had there. I don't know if New Moon's the same way. I haven't been over there yet. Then I found Los Compadres Mexican restaurant, and the quality has gone downhill every year since I moved here. So we don't go there anymore. So now I'm not in Lebanon. I'm not in Wilson County anymore. And it's pronounced Lebanon, not Lebanon, because they will tell you very quickly, Lebanon is a country. Lebanon is a city. Hey, pronounce it however you want. Just be happy we're there spending our money, right? So moved over to Hendersonville, and I started kind of looking for more things. And I found Thai Phuket 2. Thai Phuket 2, as it states, is a Thai restaurant. I used to work like 2 doors down from there. I'd go over there for lunch. Just kind of happened on it by accident. Found out years later that my now wife, Dana, worked right across the street. So it was one of those instances where we just kind of always missed each other. It's a great place, independently owned. There is a Thai Phuket 1 that's in downtown Nashville. The menus are the same. The spice levels may be a little different. And if you're unsure of your spice level, they can always bring the spices out to the table and you can get them mild. My daughter Dia loves the rama. It's a peanut sauce. She usually gets it with tofu. You can get it with the broadband noodles or with rice. It looks more appetizing with the broadband noodles. I don't like peanut sauce, so I never eat it. Alex came in for the wedding. We went over to Thai Phuket 2. The dish ordered was pad thai. It looks a little bit different than most pad thais. Most pad thais usually have more of a brownish color. This one had more of a pinkish color. The flavor was spot on. I've had their pad thai a couple times. It's really good. Dana will usually get a red curry or a Penang curry. She's Cajun, so she orders enough spice to kill a person. And they always look twice at her, and sometimes they even bring it out because they don't believe her. We also got egg rolls. Now, these are what most restaurants will call spring rolls, but because they serve the rice spring rolls, the Vietnamese style ones as well, they call them egg rolls. They're just the little ones that are in the rice paper, and it usually comes with a sweet and sour sauce. It used to be the Thai sweet and sour sauce that has little Thai chilies in it and all that. They've changed it over to more of the Chinese sweet and sour sauce. It's still very good, but you can tell they're not making it in-house anymore. And it is kind of the color of cherry Kool-Aid. So it's changed a little bit, but it's still really good. It's not like the weird orange stuff that you find at a lot of like the Chinese buffets and things like that. Now, I personally like the massaman curry. It's a yellow curry and a coconut sauce. I get it with chicken. It comes with carrots, onions, potatoes. It is my go-to every time I go there. And my spice level will vary based on my mood. Sometimes I'll just have them bring the spice out to the table. That way I can spice it to whatever I'm feeling that day. And you can do that as well. They don't look at you funny if you say, yeah, just bring stuff out to the table and I'll make it as hot as I want it to be or leave it as mild as I want it to be. Really friendly staff over there. Now, Thai Phuket 1 downtown, they're a little meaner with the spices, so be careful what you do there. Now, speaking of carrots, onions, potatoes, on Thanksgiving in the year of 2000, I moved to Uzbekistan. And there was nothing to be found but carrots, onions, potatoes, and these little guys right here. My grandmother used to collect salt and pepper shakers. These are not actually salt and pepper shakers, but they look that way. She had quite a collection. Some of them were a little bit racist because of the years that they were made. These, I don't consider them to be racist. They were made by Uzbeks, sold by Uzbeks, bought them at the open air market, brought them back, told her they were salt and pepper shakers because they kind of look like it. But since we're speaking of carrots, onions, potatoes, and Uzbekistan, we tried out Osh. It is down on Thompson Lane, and it is a traditional Uzbek restaurant. Osh is the national dish of Uzbekistan, also called plav, mostly by the Russians. It's basically their version of fried rice, usually cooked in like a cottonseed oil for traditional. It can be done in vegetable oil as well, which is, I imagine, what they do here. Has little bits of carrots, maybe pieces of dates, maybe raisins, and usually a lamb in there as well. So Osh, the restaurant and the dish, was very authentic for Uzbekistan. The only difference was the Uzbek bread. It's a little round bread, kind of a divot in the middle. You can put like dips and stuff in there. The bread was softer than usual, or than what I remember. Now, keep in mind, this was 20 years ago that I lived in Uzbekistan. But the bread seemed a little bit softer. And I noticed this at several places that we went to for different kinds of breads that were kind of European breads, that the bread in particular was softer. That didn't have the crust on the outside, so that made the inside less dense and more like an American loaf of bread. I think it might have something to do with the water. I'm not real sure. The Osh was right. We had, for an appetizer, we had the chicken somsa, which is like a shredded chicken with some vegetables and stuff inside there and like a little puff pastry. We had the Osh for dinner. And then we had for dessert the medvak. Medov, I can't pronounce it. It's like a little cake and all that. That was horrible. It's the honey cake. It was horrible. We threw it away. We took 2 bites and that was it. But it was just not our taste. It was good if you like that kind of thing. We didn't like that kind of thing. Now, the one thing I will say about Uzbek food in general, not just specific to the restaurant Osh, there's not a lot of salt in it. So all those spices they have, and they have tons of fresh spices all over the country of Uzbekistan, they get buried. So you don't really take a little bit of salt, brings that back out, and it's not bad food. Now, this isn't something that I would do every week. It's definitely for when you want something different. Because it's pretty heavy food. You know, it's very starch rich, a little overpriced for what it is. But considering the fact that they're the only Uzbek restaurant that I have heard of in the Nashville area, or anywhere in America for that matter, maybe New York has a few, but I didn't live there long enough to find them. For what it is, it's really actually something different, and it's really pretty good. Just add a little bit of salt to it if you need to, and you're good to go. Keep in mind the bread is not exactly what you're finding, but unless you've been there and you've had it, you wouldn't know that, and it's still pretty good. The decor is very typical Uzbek. It's very sparsely decorated. A lot of the restaurants that I went to when I lived there were like this. They were just huge restaurants, a couple of things here and there, but that's it. They had some pictures of Samarkand, which a little city outside of Tashkent. I'd say probably about a 2-hour drive. It's an ancient city, mosques everywhere. Spent a night there. It was really good. It really brought back some memories for me. And the food, like I said, it may not be something you're going to want every week, but it is definitely something, and if you're in the mood for something different, it's a great place to go. From Uzbekistan, I moved to Berlin, Germany. Loved Berlin, lived there off and on for about 9 years. Took my wife Dana for the very first time overseas. We went to Berlin to visit Alex. And we had some great food there. One thing in particular stood out. It was the doner kebab. It's a Turkish version of a doner made into a sandwich because Germans like to eat on the go. I've had doner kebab in Berlin. I've had doner kebab. I've had doner teller, doner plate in Istanbul. And they were both exactly the same thing. Well, Dana loved the doner so much, she wanted to find something in America. And we found the New Berlin food truck. They tend to park in the same place all the time. Machine Factory, Machine Shop, something like that. Downtown Nashville, new trendy bar. No place to park on the street. Paid parking. The paid parking is like $20 for 1 hour. So I ran over, got the food. She sat in the truck in the parking area, and we tried to avoid paying the extra $20 to park there because we weren't going to go over and sit there and drink for hours and hours and hours. We didn't feel like it was worth $20 to park, and they don't go anywhere else. They show up there a couple of days a week, and that's it. Now, we were excited to find this place. I go over, I order the food. First thing he asks me is, do you want cheese on that? I knew immediately this was not going to be right. You can get feta on a doner kebab in Berlin. They never ask you about that. The meat was different. Usually it is lamb with maybe veal. It's a mixture of things. This seemed to be like pure lamb. It was way too dark, and it was cut way too thick, and it was gyro. The thickness, the meat, the flavoring, the spicing, everything was the Greek version. Greeks and Turks do not necessarily like each other. And so if you're using a Greek ingredient to create the German version of a Turkish dish, you're already doing something wrong. The bread was right. The bread was perfect. The sauce was pretty close. It comes with red cabbage on it, both in Berlin and over here. Here, however, the red cabbage was pickled, or it had some kind of vinegar on it. I'm not sure if it was pickled or just sitting in vinegar for some reason or another, but it changed the flavor profile of the doner kebab completely, and so it was just not correct. If I'm giving them stars out of 5 stars, I'm going to give them a 2. I'm going to give them an A for effort, for trying something different, for doing it. Their execution was a D. Their price was an F. To tell you, I paid, I think, $15 for a single doner kebab sandwich. Now, they're pretty big, but $15. In Germany, it costs the equivalent of $6. And they're in sticks and bricks, mortar shops, not in a food truck. So it's overcharged. It's not right. Would I go back there? Probably not. Maybe if I just really, really need to get that doner craving satisfied, I would go. But I guarantee I would be disappointed every time. Even Dana, who'd only been to Berlin one time and had 3 doner in her life, said it was the worst that she'd ever had, and she won't go back there. Again, if you don't know what you're getting and you don't know what you're missing. So you can try it out and it could be great. And let me know in the comments if you think I'm a complete moron for thinking it's wrong. Again, I lived in Berlin off and on for 9 years, and I've been to Istanbul, and I had doner in both places, and this was not it. So, can't really say much for them. Next thing that we want to talk about is French patisseries. The first time I ever went to Epcot, we went to Leon. And my first comment was, this is just like a European bakery. She didn't believe me, so we went and we found a French patisserie in Berlin. We've not been to France yet together. And I've never been to a French patisserie in France either. So she wanted to find something here in the Nashville area that was similar. And I did too, because, some of that stuff is really good. You get these little tarts, fruit tarts and things like that. So we found Little Gourmand. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You can see it on your screen along with the address. It is a French patisserie in the Nashville area. and it is very close. The French tarts, they're not that great. They're not the best. They're not bad. They're not the best. They're actually about the same quality as what you get at Publix, the grocery store. If you don't have that in your area, it's a grocery store here. It's not. It wasn't what you get in Europe or at Leol and Epcot. The eclairs were good. The disappointing point here was the baguette. Baguette was not a baguette. It was not a French baguette. It was a sourdough loaf. It wasn't even made by them. It's just over in a basket, packaged. You grab it, you pay for it, and then you see a sticker on the bottom that says, "From this place in Cooksville." And it's sourdough. It is not a French baguette. The place is well done. It's very cutely decorated. It very much reminds me of a little cafe in Europe. If it weren't on such a large street, it would actually really remind me of that, because the decor was very, very similar to what I've seen in other areas. We just don't have those little alleyways in this area. You know, the charming little old buildings kind of on each side of the road and things like that. We just don't have that atmosphere in America, at least not in this part of America. So they did the best with what they could. A couple of things weren't perfect, but it was probably the closest that we're going to find in the U.S., or at least in this part of the U.S. So we would definitely go back there. The eclairs were great. Dana said the croissant was amazing, which I didn't get any of. I'll pause here so that she can feel guilty when she watches this. The baguettes were wrong, so stay away from the baguette. Everything else is great. They had some savory dishes as well. I believe quiche was in there. A lot of fruit tarts, cakes, pastries. Really good place to go, and we'll definitely be back there. So now we're going to make our way from France back to America. Here in Hendersonville, we're going to visit Meyer's Front Porch. Meyer's Front Porch is basically American fare. Sandwiches, some desserts, some sides. The sides are a little weird. They had a green apple slob, like a coleslaw, but made with green apples. It was a vinegar-based slaw. There was no mayonnaise in it. You know, I'm used to more, I guess, I don't know which one's southern, which one's northern, but I'm used to a coleslaw that has a little bit of mayonnaise in it. This wasn't my thing. The green apple was good. The cabbage and the green apple combination was okay, but the cabbage, green apple, and vinegar, everything was basically just sour. So there was no balance to the flavor on that. Added a little bit of salt, helped it a little bit, but not enough to where I could finish it. Dana got a grilled cheese, and to be 100% honest, I don't even remember what I got. Really, really stood out. I think I may have gotten the club. I'd have to look at the menu again to be sure. For the pricing, though, nothing really stood out and made me think, I have to go back to this place. Now, they were owned by the same people who used to own the Black Eyed Pea. The restaurant has been closed for quite a while now. Last one, I believe, was here in Hendersonville, and it's closed as well. Now the former owner for that owns this, and they do serve cheesecake there. So we're thinking it might be the same cheesecake that the Black Eyed Pea used to sell, because it's going to be the same distributor, but we haven't been there to check it out. Now, these are just 5 places in the Nashville area that I'm talking about today. There are a lot more. I found quite a few independently owned restaurants. Most of them are way overpriced. You got to understand, you know, after COVID, they've got to raise prices to stay in business because business is down. Most of the chains are doing better than the locally owned, and I understand that. But these prices were high before COVID. So I don't know if their operating costs are just that high or if their food is just that good, because if it's over a certain price point, I personally am not going to go there. Just because, like, if I can make better at home for less, why would I go out? So if there are any places that you think that I need to try out for the next Nashville video, or if you think I'm completely crazy when I talk about these places, maybe some of them that I said are good, you think are horrible, maybe the ones that I said are bad, you think are great, let me know. Put it in the comments here. Give me a like on the video, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you like the music that I've used in the background, that is original music that I've written, you can find it on your favorite streaming platform or right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all down the road.
let's hit the road. Save my soul.